calling all forward-thinking estheticians. It's time to redefine the art of skincare and embrace a revolutionary approach that begins with your client's skin cell health. I'm pharmacist Ben Fuchs, welcoming you to Truth Treatment Systems, where beauty begins at the cell. We believe you're not just a beauty professional, you are a healthcare professional. You want to make a positive difference and you want to make a good living, and we will help you do both. We're here to support your out-of-the-box thinking and empower you to question traditional products, outdated formulations, and old-school ingredients. Imagine a world where solutions to the skin's enigmatic conditions lie just beyond the horizon. At Truth, we're not just a skincare brand, we're a movement that encourages you to explore better solutions and find that aha moment that changes the game. You are an artist and a healer of the skin, and we're here to provide the canvas and the tools for you to create tailored protocols, leaving generic ones in the past. Sign up now at truthtreatmentspro.com and receive 2 complimentary mineral-rich electrolyte sheet masks. That's truthtreatmentspro.com, where healthy skin is beautiful skin.
This podcast is sponsored by LAMPROBE. LAMPROBE is a popular aesthetic tool that enables skincare practitioners to rapidly treat a wide variety of common minor skin irregularities, or MSI. Red MSI treated by LAMPROBE include dilated capillaries and cherry angiomas, yellow MSI, cholesterol deposits and sebaceous hyperplasia, and brown MSI treated include skin tags and more. LAMPROBE MSI treatments are non-invasive and deliver immediate results. LAMPROBE can empower your skin practice with these new and highly in-demand services. For more information, visit lamprobe.com. That's LAMPROBE.com. And follow LAMPROBE on social media at LAMPROBE.
Hello and welcome to ASCP and the Rogue Pharmacist with Ben Fuchs. In each episode, we will explore how internal and external factors can impact the skin. I'm Maggie Stasek, ASCP's Education Program Manager, and joining me is Ben Fuchs, skincare formulator and pharmacist. Hi, Ben.
Hello there, Maggie. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. In my opinion, not all moisturizers are the same, but they are a must. Not everyone would agree with me, though, and some people say the skin can actually become dependent on them. What are your thoughts about that?
Those people are me. I've been saying that for years, since I learned about how moisturizers work in pharmacy, actually, when I was working for Blistex. You ever notice how you get addicted to your Blistex?
Yeah.
And chapstick? I have friends who can't go 10 minutes without putting chapstick on. They carry it around. They freak out when they can't find their chapstick.
That's me.
That's you, okay, right? Well, that phenomena that you're experiencing, where the more chapstick you use, the more you need, not only made my boss at Blistex millions and millions of dollars and made him famous and made the Blistex company and the chapstick company and the Carmex company all this money, not to mention moisturizer companies, all this money. That phenomena that you're experiencing is a demonstration of what you're saying, calling dependence. It's not really dependence, although that is what it appears to be. What it really is downregulation. My favorite word in biochemistry as a healthcare professional, as a formulator, is upregulation. So what do you think? What does that sound like upregulation means?
I think you're referring to the oils our skin's
Well, no,
producing.
just the word upregulation. What do you think that means?
It means more, Ben.
It means more, right? Good. Upregulation means more. Downregulation means less. And the body is constantly reading the environment to decide if it needs to make more or make less. It needs to upregulate or downregulate. And when I say that, the body, I mean cells. So cells are always making an assessment of what's needed. Hey, we need more of this. Hey, we need less of this. That's basically the raison d'etre of a cell, is to determine how much it needs to make or how little it needs to make. So what you're experiencing with chapstick and Blistex and all that stuff with lips is a downregulation phenomenon. The body is responsive to stresses. In a way, and this is not just our skin or our lips, we're killing ourselves with comfort. We have the most comfortable society, the most comfortable civilization in the history of mankind. But our bodies grew up under conditions of stress and under conditions of duress, didn't grow up with conditions of comfort. This comfort phenomena, whether we're talking about the comfortable amount of food, comfortable temperature, comfortable amount of stuff on our skin to make our skin feel comfortable, all of these kinds of things, all of these signs of comfort are very recent, 100 years, 150 years, 200 years, compared to a body that's 2 million years old, right? So our body's not used to comfort. It interprets comfort, whether it's a lot of food or as skincare products or as a comfortable lifestyle, as a sign to downregulate. The body is not going to make things if it doesn't need to. It's economical. The skin is economical. It's not going to make tissue unless it needs to. This is why wound healing or wounding, controlled wounding is so helpful. Because when you do a controlled wound, i.e. with a peel or with laser or microdermabrasion or some kind of stimuli that creates a wound in the skin, the body, that's a stress on the skin. You say, oh my God, that's a stress on the skin. We don't want to do that. No, to the body, that's, let's get going. Let's get moving. Let's start upregulating skin cells, upregulating moisture factors. In fact, there are some, unfortunately, healthcare professionals, and I know some personally, who say, don't exfoliate. Oh, that's terrible for your skin. You can't exfoliate. You're hurting your skin. Or don't use retinol. Or don't use alpha hydroxy acids. That's stressful on the skin. They don't understand this phenomena of upregulation in response to stress. In biochemistry, we call that hormesis. Have you heard that term, hormesis?
I haven't.
Hormesis. Hormesis is the idea that stress is your friend. Stimuli is your friend. Wounding is your friend. Things that would appear superficially to be bad for us, under controlled, and that's the key, under controlled conditions turn things on. And that's why we exercise. Why do you go to the gym? You lift weights, you're tearing up your muscles. What a dumb thing to do, to tear up your muscles. What are you, crazy? You're tearing up your muscles? The next day, what happens? They get bigger. A miracle. Imagine if you had your little Geo Metro or Ford Fiesta, you drove it off-road, you tore it up on the dirt road back here in Evergreen, and you came back and you parked it in the garage, and you came out the next day, and your Ford Fiesta was a Cadillac Escalade. You'd be like, oh my God, how did that happen? A miracle has occurred, right? Everything that's mechanical, that's non-living, responds to stress by breaking down. The living system, whether the living system is a body or components of the body, or even if a plant or a tree, responds to controlled, keyword, controlled stress with growth. And that's what exercise is. We call that, by the way, anti-fragility. You've heard of fragile. Obviously, something breaks. Porcelain, for example, breaks. It's fragile. Steel is non-fragile. Anti-fragile, an anti-fragile system, is a system that grows when it's stressed. And the living systems, whether they're biological or botanical, respond to stress in an anti-fragile fashion. You trim your leaves back, what happens? They get nice and bushy. You use pesticides and fertilizers to make it easier on the plants, your plants become less healthy. You let the plants grow on their own without fertilizer and pesticide, they make antioxidants, they make nutrients, they make more substances, the plants become stronger. Just like we become stronger under conditions of duress. So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The key is it has to be controlled, because if you put too much stress, you break the system. So just the right amount of stress stimulates the system to grow, and that's why we exercise and take days off. That's why you use retinol and take days off. That's why you use alpha hydroxy acids and take days off. That's why stimulating the skin with stressors has anti-aging benefits. You're stimulating the wound healing process. You're making things happen. You're upregulating. So what does this have to do with moisturizers? I have a journalism degree in addition to having a pharmacy degree. And I love words. One of the stupidest words in all of skincare is the word moisturizer. Because when you think of a moisturizer, what's moisture? I got moisture on my clothes. I got moisture on my face. There's moisture in my house. What does moisture mean? Water, hydration. A moisturizer is wax, it's oil, it's a little bit of active ingredient if you're lucky, and then it's a water base. You put it on your skin, and you don't have any water going on your skin. You have wax and you have oil, and when people touch the moisturizer that they just applied and they go, oh, that feels nice, they're not feeling hydration. They're feeling lipid, fat. What is the opposite of moisture? Lipid, fat. A moisturizer is anti-moisture. It's the opposite of moisture. So you say, well, no, but I like the way it feels. You're not feeling moisture. You're feeling softness. And this is why sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, I don't use any skincare. I just use olive oil, or I just use coconut oil, or I just use, just a cheap cream. Because we have collapsed two separate ideas. The idea of hydration, which is critical for health, critical for the production of biochemistry, critical for the skin's ability to withstand the environment. Hydration is critical for the tissue. We've collapsed hydration with slickness, with lipid, with wax, with oil. And when we feel that wax and oil in our minds, we say, I'm moisturized. It's a smoke and mirrors trick. It's this idea that softness has now been collapsed with hydration. There's nothing wrong with softness. You don't want rough skin, but hydration is not an issue of appearance. It's not an issue of comfort. It's an issue of chemistry. It's an issue of health. And softenizing, if you will, don't help the health of the tissue. In fact, because of this hormesis phenomena, this use it or lose it phenomena, when you put moisturizers on, you down-regulate the skin's ability to moisturize itself. You shut down moisture factors. In fact, and this is what you're experiencing, why people have to use chapstick all the time or Blistex or whatever it is, because the more Blistex you use, your skin is like, or your lips, and the lips, by the way, are super skin. They're sticking on the outside of the body, so they're like an extreme version of skin. It's a very interesting tissue. Skin plus, skin on steroids. Everything that's true about the skin is true extra with the lips. So this phenomena of downregulation is really a counteracting of a very interesting phenomena. How did nature design the skin to stay moist? This is so cool. In your skin, your stratum corneum, the so-called dead barrier, you have molecules that read ambient humidity. They actually can read the moisture in the air. And when the ambient humidity drops, these molecules, which are, by the way, called the natural moisture factor, these molecules will be secreted in abundance. They'll the cells will upregulate the production of natural moisture factor to trap more water in the air. This is a classic sign of how intelligent and responsive the body and the skin is. It's reading the environment, it's adjusting. So you come to Colorado from Miami, you're supposed to, naturally, the skin will say, oh, there's a drop in ambient humidity, let's make more moisture factors. But what do? We come from Colorado to Miami, we're dry. Instead of waiting for the moisture factors to get upregulated so they can trap more moisture, we cover it up with a wax or an oil or a concoction of wax and oil, which is called a moisturizer. That covering up process is technically called occlusion, and I'm sure you heard that word occlusion. When the cells now read the environment, they're seeing the wax. They're seeing the oil. They're like, hey, they don't need us here. Everything's hunky-dory. Your oil and lotion concoction, your slickerizer, softenizer, whatever you want to call it, it goes away. Now you got less moisture factors. Now you're really dry. So what do? What do most people do? Oh, I'm going to get some more moisturizer. Put it on, you occlude. What happens now? You further suppress the moisture factor. Eventually, what happens is the more moisturizer, so-called, you're using, the more you need. That's what you mean by dependence. That's what you mean by becoming addicted to our moisturizer. And there are people who, just like with their lips, can't go 15 minutes. They can't go 15 minutes or half an hour a day without a moisturizer. What you really want to do, if you have a moisture problem, and it's very common, people have dry skin, treat it like a health condition. Treat it like the health condition that it is. And this is so important for today's modern esthetician. Today's esthetician has to regard herself or himself as a health care professional, because even the most mundane and benign of skincare issues like dry skin, which isn't like deadly, are health issues. They're a sign that the biochemistry of the body in general and the skin in specific is missing something. There's something wrong. And with our comfort-driven culture, we naturally think, I'm just going to put some moisturizer on and that's going to take care of the problem. But it doesn't take care of the problem because in the long run, it makes the problem worse. Too much comfort in the long run makes us worse. That's why we have the most comfortable society in the history of mankind, and we're simultaneously the sickest culture in the history of mankind. So to have the skin hydrated is a health issue because moisture is important, or hydration is important for biochemistry, for the production of collagen, for the production of moisture factors, for the production of immune factors, for keeping the tissue healthy. You need to have hydration. Moisturizers are anti-hydration. So what do? You drive the production of moisture factors through several fashions. In fact, 2 processes are important. The same 2 processes for keeping the skin moist and hydrated are the same 2 processes that we need to do if we want to have big muscles. The same 2 processes that we want to do if we want to be smart. The same 2 processes we need to do if we want our plants to be nice and bushy. Exercise, nutriate. And I shouldn't say exercise, I'm going to say rest, because it's a balance of exercise and rest. Exercise is stress. If you want to have big muscles, you got to get your butt in the gym. You got to lift weights. You got to do resistance training. And by the way, resistance training is really important as an anti-aging strategy. Well, guess what? The skin is like the muscles. It's a living system. It's like the plants. It's like a living system. It needs to be exercised. It needs to be stressed. How do you exercise and stress the skin? Exfoliation. And there's lots of ways to do that. My favorite way to exfoliate is to drop the pH of the skin and increase sloughing. The combination of increased sloughing and dropping the pH turns things on every bit as much as going to the gym turns things on. Using low pH acids and exfoliating agents, sloughing agents, it's like taking your skin to the gym and it upregulates everything. It upregulates moisture factors. It upregulates collagen. It upregulates skin cell production. It turns on everything. And we have to get this idea that we want our skin to be comfortable out of our heads every bit as much as we have to get this idea that we want our bodies to be always comfortable out of our heads. Now, I love comfort too. I'm not saying never be comfortable. But too much comfort, whether it's on the skin in terms of moisturizers, or whether it's in terms of the body, in terms of high calorie intake or a really cushy, relaxed lifestyle, are anti-health. They're pro-aging. They're anti-aging. So with a moisturizer, number one, you exfoliate. And there's lots of ways to do that. That turns on the production of moisture factors. But at the same time, you got to nutriate. How do you nutriate? With fats, with lipids, fatty vitamins, especially vitamin A, but also vitamin D to a certain extent, and vitamin K and vitamin E, vitamin C. I love fat-soluble vitamin C. Orally, it doesn't have to be fat-soluble, but fat-soluble vitamin C. And perhaps most importantly, essential fatty acids. Omega-3 and omega-6. They're both important for the production of moisture factors. There's also something called phospholipids, which are found in eggs and grains and beans and other things too if you don't eat eggs, and dairy and organ meats. And phospholipids also are important for the production of moisture factors, for the production of skin lipids. And you want a strong, healthy barrier to keep water from evaporating. And exfoliation, all these nutrients will build a strong, healthy barrier. Topically, I never recommend a moisturizer unless you're completely miserable, and in which case use it, but get it as little as possible. Your goal should be to wean yourself off of it. What I'm formulating in truth is topical vitamins. They have a moisturizing effect in the sense that they'll give you a certain softness to the skin, but in the long run, they'll feed the skin cells. So the skin cells will be healthy and they can make the moisture factors. Fat-soluble vitamin C is a must. Retinol is very important. Even though in the short run, retinol can have an irritating effect, retinol upregulates lipids, fats. Retinol upregulates high hyaluronic acid. Your skin makes its own high hyaluronic acid. It regulates high hyaluronic acid. It upregulates high hyaluronic acid. And retinol strengthens the skin barrier. So you make sure you're using retinol periodically. Remember, it's intelligent and controlled wounding. It's intelligent and controlled exercise. So you don't use your retinol every day, any bit as much as you go to the gym every day. You take days off. And then accessory fatty nutrients like vitamin D. This is topical. Fatty vitamin D topical. Fatty vitamin E topical. If you look at my Truth Treatment formulations, they're all nutritional. They're topical nutritional supplements because today's modern skincare professional, as well as today's consumer, is deserving of nutrition for their skin, of health for their skin, of changing the skin in a real healthy way, not in a superficial, artificial, synthetic way, which is what a moisturizer does. Now, in the short run, you'll feel, I feel soft. But in the long run, you're suppressing your skin's moisture factors. You're suppressing the health of the skin barrier. You're suppressing the production of connective tissue fibers for anti-aging. When you put a moisturizer on the skin, while you may feel softening in the short run, you're not only not changing the hydration of the skin and not changing the skin's ability to produce moisture factors, but you're actually suppressing things. You're down-regulating and you're accelerating the aging process. And this is why in this country, we sell billions, some $10 to $14 billion a year in moisturizing creams. People have moisturizers in their car and in their locker and in their purse and in their kitchen and 2 in their bathroom and 1 in the office. Everywhere you got moisturizers. And simultaneously, everybody has dry skin. When I do a talk, I say, how many people have dry skin? Everybody raises their hands. If you do this right, you'll never need a moisturizer again. If you take care of exfoliation, if you take care of internal nutrition, and if topically you apply fat-soluble, very important, fat-soluble vitamin C, because water-soluble vitamin C actually has a drying effect on the skin, fat-soluble vitamin C, retinol, vitamin E, vitamin K, vitamin D, essential fatty acids, amino acids, topically, you'll never need a moisturizer again, and you won't have to deal with that horrible sensation of having to apply chapstick, or because you'll also be helping your lips, or your moisturizing lotion every half hour or every day.
That concludes our show for today, and we thank you for listening. But if you just can't get enough of Ben Fuchs, the ASCP's Rogue Pharmacist, you can find him at truthtreatments.com. For more information on this episode, or for ways to connect with Ben Fuchs, or to learn more about ASCP, check out the show notes.